The Yankees got their man. Carlos Rodon has officially joined the Yankees, and joining us to discuss this is New York Post's Greg Joyce. Greg, my social media blew up yesterday when the news was official. So can you give us a background on Rodon and why Yankees fans should be excited that he is now in pinstripes?
Yeah, well, he's made quite a turnaround. I mean, he was a first round pick back in 2014, I believe it was, but 2 years ago he was non-tendered by the White Sox. He had a lot of injuries earlier in his career and had Tommy John in 2019 and had some up and down results. So after the 2020 season, he was non-tendered, but after that season, he made a tweak in his mechanics that really helped his results and gave him some improved health, which has been key. And over the last 2 years, he's been one of the game's best pitchers. So he cashed in with a huge payday. I think it's a big move for the Yankees. Obviously, putting him at the top of the rotation with Garrett Cole is a pretty nice 1-2 punch if Rodon can stay healthy. He's a big left-hander, throws, I think his fastball averaged 95.5 miles an hour this past year. Has a pretty good slider as well to match it as well. So it's a really nice top of the rotation now that the Yankees have.
You mentioned a huge payday. We've seen a couple huge paydays in free agency. Hal Steinbrenner and Steve Cohen have really opened up the checkbook this free agency. So if you had to choose, which rotation would you want for your team? The Yankees' new rotation or the Mets' new rotation?
Well, it's hard to argue against a rotation that has 6 Cy Youngs like the Mets do with Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. So, I mean, maybe this is a cop out a little bit, but for 2023, I think the Mets rotation might still be the one that I'd take. But over the span of the next few years, maybe I'd take the Yankees just because they have some of the younger guys, maybe some untapped potential there. I mean, we saw last year with Nestor Cortez having a breakout season. Luis Severino, if he can stay healthy, has a high ceiling as well. And those are the guys, those are your 3 and 4 starters behind Cole and Rodon. I think the wild card is what Kodai Senga brings the Mets. That's kind of an unknown. Obviously, coming over from Japan, pitchers can have different, even the best of the pitchers in Japan. Some are great right away. Some take a little bit to adjust to the game. So I think that's wild card for the Mets rotation. But obviously, both rotations, if the Mets have Carlos Carrasco as their number 5 guy, the Yankees have Frankie Montas as their number 5. Those are 2 pretty good number 5s to have.
The Mets got the pitchers. Now they brought in the catcher, former All-Star catcher Omar Narvaez. I hope I said that name right. So why did the team bring him in, and what does this mean for the catcher position out in Queens?
Yeah, he's a left-handed bat, which is important for them. He's also been one of the game's best pitch framers over the last few years. But yeah, obviously it puts their catching situation into a pretty crowded spot. They also have James McCann, Tomas Nido, and Francisco Alvarez, who's one of the top prospects in baseball, all under contract. And Alvarez was expected to push for playing time this year, which was already kind of push James McCann to the outskirts a little bit, even before signing Narvaez. So remains to be seen what they do. It's possible that Alvarez could still start the season at AAA he's still only 21. Still could use maybe some more polishing. We'll see what kind of push he makes in spring training. But I think, it's possible they go into spring training with all 4 guys and then see where they're at and maybe try to trade one. I think McCann's, he's got 2 years and $24 million left on his deal. And if they can find a taker for him, I think that might make some sense. But Steve Cohen's spending spree has, obviously no bounds. So they saw a guy who can bring some impact, in the lineup and also behind the plate that for $8 million and then a player option for 2024. And, they like their chances there.
Really quick, who's had the better offseason, the Yankees or the Mets? Go.
It's tough. I think both had some huge holes to fill. The Yankees bringing back Judge was huge, obviously, and that just kind of got them back to sea level from where they were last year. And Rodon allows them to take that next step. Obviously, Verlander replacing DeGrom for the Mets, that kind of brings them back to sea level a little bit. And then, I think the two clubs have spent over $1 billion. So it's hard to argue with the offseason that either has had. I mean, they're both going for it, not letting dollars get in the way of their offseason plans.
Open up those checkbooks. Greg Joyce, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brandon.